My people, welcome back to Really the Heart. We don come again with another update about the things when they go on for our country. The injustice in Nigeria is just too much. Imagine, dem don suspend Senator Natasha for good 6 months. Na dis our leaders be our main problem for dis country. Dem no even allow the innocent woman bring out her evidence at all, even after she say she get proof. And oh God, the humiliation is too much. Our leader needs to do better. My people, wanna watch the video. After watching, please feel free to drop your opinion. And I beg, if you never subscribe to this channel, subscribe maybe for the get our update. Subscription are free.
I thank you very much for staying with us on Daily Politics. And we're still on this talking point, talking about the suspension of Senator Natasha Dawn. Of course, the outrage and the reactions, coming from Nigerians. And just like I said, we right now have in the studio Senator Kabiru Marafa. Senator Kabiru Marafa was one of the senators that represented constituencies. He represented the Zamfara Central in the 7th and the 8th Assembly, Senate rather, one of the vibrant lawmakers. And of course, we want to get his perspective on the drama and of course the suspension of Senator Natasha. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Daily Trust.
Right, Trust TV. Anyway, yeah, the mother company. Right. Okay. I know you must have been following this development very closely. The fact that it affects, rather, it is happening in your constituency. The lawmaking body, especially the Senate. What do you make up with this decision by the entire Senate to suspend Senator Natasha Apoti, who came up with a very strong allegation against the Senate President of sexual harassment? It was a decision that was taken in line with the recommendations, if you like, of the Ethics Committee. Let me get your take on it.
Well, thank you very much, Malan Shafiu, and thank you for inviting me to, I think, break this my long silence.
Very, very
for a very long time. I have not been
in the media,
on the public stage.
Right.
I think the problem is two-dimensional, honestly speaking. Even though you said you are sure I've been following the events very, very closely, I think it's not quite correct.
Right.
Because of the season now passing and so on and so forth, and some very obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I have not been following the proceedings of the Senate quite closely, but news is abound everywhere now, wherever you say. So like I said, you have to look at it from two perspectives. Now, if you look at the perspective of my sister, Senator Natasha, I think she is a little faster than her legs in the sense that she is not very mature, in the Senate itself, and knowing the rules, the nooks and the corners of the Senate. A lot of people just feel that the Senate is just a place that you take bath in the morning, come to the Senate, sit down and do. It is an institution, a very big institution, the National Assembly, that requires, knowledge. You need to know the ways and means of the Senate, how it works, and everything, the rules and everything, if you are to become a very good and effective legislator. So, coming back to the question. Now, you can see that, like, what she did yesterday, presenting a petition against the Senate President, so quite frankly tells you that she is very green, in the aspect of legislation, because the rule of the Senate, either 40, 41, I can't remember.
40,
well, maybe it is amended. When in my days, I think it is to be 41. I think 41-4. It states very clearly that no senator can present a petition to the Senate signed by himself. So Natasha, as a lawyer, needs to know that one, before she did what she did. So she missed her steps. quite frankly, you know, if she had known the process very well, that wouldn't have been the step she would have taken yesterday. Maybe she would have gotten her constituents, you know, to write petition for and on behalf of her.
Even though that's what she did eventually, because she had to resubmit the petition.
When?
Now allowed today, and then allowing her constituents to now sign.
Well, I don't know. That's why I told you up initial that
resubmitted.
Good,
And then the Senate also admitted, you know, that petition.
Then that means maybe they may look at it at a later date.
Yeah, the committee has been given 4 weeks or so to.
But having committed that mistake in the first place, you know, tells you a lot about, you know, her proficiency, you know, in the process, you know, her experience, and all that. So that is one aspect. Two, now I watched her reeling out her reasons on why she felt, you know, distinguished Senator Akpabio treated her the way he did. And I pitied her quite frankly, because the issue of sexual harassment in the Senate is absolutely no.
It's a no-go area.
It's a no-go area. All the women you see in the Senate are more than men in very, very, you know, special circumstances. They are only women maybe in appearance, but in character, in experience, you know, in exposure, you know, that all the women you see in the Senate. Senate is not a place that you can just wake up today and say you are a senator.
Yeah, since you are reinforcing the position of Senator Itegiwa,
okay, I have not read.
Mention that.
Okay,
too.
I have not read what she said. But having been in the Senate for 8 years and having interacted, you know, with different ladies, you know, that came to the Senate, you know, through different constituencies, and looking at even the age of people that come to the Senate, you would, I mean, this thing is not rocket science. You cannot be a woman of maybe more than 40, 45 years or so, and you talk of sexual harassment by somebody. Some of the ladies you see there, they have excelled in their chosen careers. Some of them were federal permanent secretaries. Some of them were captains of industries and everything. So where do you start? In fact, what you may have is the ladies harassing the men. I can tell you a host of female senators that can harass you to the point of submission if you are not so careful. So to say that a senator, you know, sexually harasses a lady senator again, maybe he could harass a junior worker somewhere, a young lady somewhere that either is working in the Senate or elsewhere, but definitely not a female senator.
Yeah, but Senator Marafa, does that foreclose the fact that there is need for proper investigation? If such a petition...
Thank you so much. So that is, we are still on it. So while the Senate says a senator cannot present a petition duly signed by himself, that does not foreclose the fact that a senator cannot write a petition. You can write petition to the police authorities. You can write petition to maybe the DSS. You can write petition to any other organization. You can go to court to say that, look, police, IG, I want you to investigate this matter. I was sexually harassed by a social person, a social person, a social time, and social time. But not to the Senate itself.
But isn't the Senate the jurisdiction where this alleged crime take place? For instance, does the rule allow you to go beyond, you know, outside the chamber? For instance?
Yes. If I once took the Senate to the court. Yes. If you feel sufficiently offended, you know, by any maybe action or inaction of the Senate, you can go to court. You can invite the police to you are a Nigerian. You can go there as a private Nigerian, you know, citizen, now to ask for a right. Nobody can deny you that because the Constitution has guaranteed that right. You are all right. But the Senate, in its own wisdom, Section 60 of the Nigerian Constitution, give the Senate and the House of Representatives the powers to regulate themselves. So by this token, now the Senate produced that red book, you see. And that red book contains, you know, the do's and don'ts, procedures, and everything of how the Senate should be run. And unless it runs contrary to the Constitution, because the Constitution stated in very clear terms that any law that when contrary to its provisions, is null and void to the extent of. So unless that happens, the orders of the Senate must be respected. So in this case, a senator needs to know that he cannot write a petition against either a senator sitting there, talk less of the Senate president that is presiding over the affairs of this thing. Now, that is on one part. On the other part, I sincerely pitied Senator Natasha because maybe she slept on her right. Now, she only raised the issue after maybe her own right or privilege was infringed. That is of sitting arrangement. And she has no, you don't have, the Senate has absolute, powers, over the sitting arrangement, because all senators cannot sit on a particular seat, on a particular row. So the Senate, somebody has to be responsible of allocating seats. And the rule says that you cannot speak from another seat. So you have to speak from your own seat. Do you get my point? So now Natasha had ample opportunity, to voice her feelings. If there was sexual harassment, the sexual harassment didn't take place yesterday. It didn't take place day before yesterday or last week. So what has she been doing?
But she linked it to what was happening now, because she said all that has been happening to her
but you cannot join issues. That's what I'm saying. Now, what led to this fracas was the sitting arrangement. And the sitting arrangement was the exclusive right of the Senate chief whip. So he has the right to allocate seat. And I read part of her comments or her grievances that she was given a seat where she would not be noticed. You can be seated right in front of the presiding officer, and if he chooses not to recognize you, he will recognize you, and there is nothing you can do. But you see, if you are conversant with the laws and everything, you can speak even against the wish of the Senate president, whether he or the presiding officer, whether he likes it or not, and from wherever you are seated. So having said all this, I read where she said that her motion was stood down more than 6 times. That was the golden opportunity for her to raise this noise she has raised now, and the Nigerians would have been with her, and the people would have been said, her constituents would have said that, yes, we are with her, because she was speaking about Jakarta. So, but now, unfortunately, you are raising so much dust, all about yourself, about sexual harassment that didn't happen yesterday or day before yesterday. So this is all I want to say about the distinguished senator and what she has done. And I think I want Nigerians to know that Senate is not a place where sexual harassment between members can happen. All the ladies you see there, from the time I've been to the Senate, from the time I've been watching the Senate from outside, to the time that I became a member of the Senate, and up to this time, I have not seen any weakling female senator that can be sexually harassed by anybody.
Right.
Yes,
okay.
That is that.
Yes, coming back to the proceeding, and of course, you talked about the excessive regulation, self-regulation of the Senate. For instance, the Red Book. Does it also contains, the fact that nobody can speak, against the leadership? Because
that is...
what transpired now left much to be desired, because, collectively, the Senate now, no one seems to be on the side of Natasha. The suspension was almost unanimous, and then there's also concern around why is it that no one can raise any...
That is the second thing. When you asked the first question, I told you that there are 2 issues in the distance. So I have said one. Now, the other one is the suspension. The suspension, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the Constitution of the Federal Republic is concerned, nobody can suspend a senator. I stand by that. I stood on the floor of the Senate to fight that. I was almost a victim of that, and I saw it. And look, nobody, a senator is not an appointed representative. So nobody can sit down and say you are suspended, because now, for this period of 6 months that they said they have suspended her, who is going to speak for the people of Kogi Central?
No.
Where in the Constitution I mean,
there's also a contention around the time limit. Some say it shouldn't go beyond 2 weeks. Why should she be suspended for 6 months?
As far as I'm concerned, nobody can even suspend a senator for even 1 hour.
But the Chairman Ethics Committee is talking about, when there's, you quoted certain section of the procedure.
It doesn't matter. That is why I manage people. You see, that is why I said, the writers of our constitution, were really very wise men, because they cap everything up and said that any law that that contradicts the constitution is null and void to the extent of its.
It has to subordinate itself.
So even if there is any such provision in the order book, I know there is one. I think order 66. Something. Or something like that. That gave the presiding officer, I think, up to maximum of 2 weeks, that he can suspend an unruly, member of the Senate that does this or that and whatever. But I think there are rulings in the court. I don't know now. I'm not a lawyer, even though I associate with them a lot. But nobody can suspend, an elected representative. Nobody. And I say nobody can do it. But I must admit something, that maybe we need to, because you cannot gather 109 people and say that because you cannot be suspended, so anybody can do just whatever he wants. So the Senate or the legislature need to come up with some punitive measures, that can address this issue, because there has to be some deterrence. So that if somebody did something wrong,
that's what the Senate
now maybe his privileges, can be touched. Like, for instance, they can say, maybe you lose your constituency projects, like, for instance, it's a privilege. Maybe they can say all your entitlements apart from your salary, which is your right, you can touch that area. Look, they can sit down and come up with some measures that will deter.
In this case, that's what they are also talking about, for instance. They're talking about suspending her salaries for allowances and what have you for 6 months, also locking her office, and then also suspending the payments to her aides, and so on and so forth. Quite a number of...
That's what I'm saying. You see, in those things, there are privileges and there are rights. Now, the people of Kogi Central has a right to be represented, and nobody can deny that fact.
So you think they can challenge this decision now? As a people?
I think the senators themselves and the members of the public, we all have a responsibility, to challenge, this obnoxious provision, of the Senate, that a senator can be suspended. I challenged it when I was there, and I still do not accept that a senator can, and we must rise up to this. And by extension, not even the Senate alone, even INEC needs to be addressed on this. Like I can tell you, now between 2019 and 2023, the senator representing me in the chamber was nominated to become deputy governor. I think just 2 years into his tenure in the Senate. And he was so appointed as the deputy governor of Zamfara State. Okay? And the Zamfara State stayed without representation in the Senate for 2 good years. 2 years. We lost all our constituency projects because we didn't have any senator sitting. We lost everything. If you have any grievance or anything, our people that time were being killed, harassed, maimed, and there was nobody to report in the Senate. So I think INEC also needs to address this issue, because votes, and here I support the submission of a lawyer I once watched that said, since the Constitution says that votes are for political parties, not individuals. So if for any reason a senator quits or a member of House of Representatives quit for whatever reason, death or anything, the party should just be consulted, because INEC was talking about the cost of election.
Isn't that a reason for rerun election? We've seen rerun election.
That's what I'm saying. INEC will tell you that because of the cost inherent in the process, they cannot just wake up if a member exit today and tomorrow they said there's going to be a rerun election, because it's not free. You know, so if they don't have money, then they have to wait until when they get like 5, 10, 20, 100 all across the country and do it. And when they cannot do it, you know, because the cost is prohibitive or whatever, they now decide not to do it, like in our own case. I think that provision needs to be challenged. And also this suspension issue needs to be challenged by Nigerians. You cannot just wake up and look, they are not appointed representatives. If the president today or the governor decides to sack a commissioner or a minister or whatever, it's his own aid. You know, the constitution, or the people, you know, elected him, not his appointees. So, but you cannot say you are suspended a governor or a president,
who has been elected
you cannot, if you cannot suspend a governor or a president, you can equally not suspend a senator or a member of House of Representatives. So we need to look at this this thing before it gets out of hand, because the net effect of all this is you see nonchalant attitude on the side of the legislators, non-vibrancy, nothing. Nobody is talking.
Just like Minister has said earlier.
If you look at my state now, a lot is happening in my state. We are becoming more like slaves. You know, this insecurity thing is biting us all out, left, right, and center. Our people are paying ransom. You cannot move freely. You can't do this, no. But none of our senators is talking. As I'm talking to you, none of them is talking about anything. Why? Because they are reading the mood, you know, of the Senate, the leadership of the Senate, you know, vis-a-vis their privileges and so on and so forth. So nobody wants to go against, you know, So in
other words, they are representing their interests, not the people now.
Well, so it looks like that, because we as the people, we know where the shoe pinches, you know, and that is the situation. Ask anybody from Zamfara at a point. Thank God, now things are beginning to maybe, but there was a time when traveling from Funtua to Gusau, you know, was like traveling through hell, and nobody was saying anything. And I associate all that, you know, to this, you know, obnoxious provision, where a senator, maybe if he decides to just speak against the leadership of the Senate or anything, he may be sanctioned, and he will lose a lot of privileges. Privileges, no problem. You can talk. You can touch the privileges of members. You know, yes, by way of deterrence, but to say that you are suspending a senator elected by more than, remember, each state has only 3 senators.
I wouldn't want us to be caught by the system. I wish we could go on and on. Quite a number of issues, but then we'll look forward to having you, you know, in a very, very short.
So much,
yes, we really appreciate your perspective.
Thank you so much.
And we hope to have you, you know, very, you know, in the not distant time, so that we can talk about most of these issues.
Thank you so much.
Especially the challenges faced by the people of Zamfara in terms of
insecurity. Yes, I would very much appreciate if we can come and talk about the challenges faced by the people of Zamfara State. We are going through hell. People are going through hell. People are paying ransom left, right, and center. All communities, everything, and the authorities are not being told the truth. Simply because people, you know, look at patronages and so on and so forth.
Thank you very much. We'll go on. We'll continue in that direction, inshallah, in a couple of days to come. And viewers, this is a wrap on today's edition. Senator Kabir Marafa, Senator that represented Zamfara Central, you know, at the Senate in the 7th and the 8th session. We'll take, this is where we come to the end of the conversation. We do hope you have the discussions engaging and interactive. We'll come up with another topic, you know, by Sunday. Do well to join us then, so that we can have another robust conversation. Until then, I'm Shafiu Suleiman. Many thanks for being there.
So this afternoon, the Nigerian Senate has successfully and officially suspended Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for 6 months. Now that 6 month suspension, according to the way that they move the motion, where they agree on, she will not get any of her salaries or allowance. Her staff too, when the Nigerian government they pay, those ones too will not get their salaries or allowance, which means she's the one that will fund those ones. And then she will not come close to the Senate. Then if they must lift the suspension or reduce the suspension, she must write an apology and send to the floor of the Senate. Before we discuss whether this is right or not, let's break down what is causing quarrel. There are two issues on ground that is supposed to be investigated. Number one, the time Natasha says, see your new seat there, she says she not sit down there. It called cause quarrel. That's the first issue. The second issue be say, she says Senate President they harass her in one naka. That's the second issue. Let's be clear, this issue, this suspension came because of the first issue. As for the second issue of harassment, they never attend to that one. They say the first true with the first petition, they say that she signed up. And according to the laws of the Senate, she cannot sign her own petition. So today, she submitted another petition will not be she signed. So we can't know whether they will attend to that second issue now. But this suspension is based on the first issue. So let me take you to the floor of the Senate and see how it goes.
Recommends as follows. 1. That the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for 6 months.
6 months.
For her total violation of the Senate Standing Rules 2023 as amended for bringing the President, the presiding officer, and the entire Senate in general to public opprobrium. 2. That for the Senate to consider lifting the suspension or to reduce the tenure of suspension, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan shall submit a written apology to the Senate before the reconsideration by the Senate.
She no go try him.
3. That the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan with effect from 6 March 2025 from all legislative activities.
That's today.
Forfeit. 4. That her office be locked up for the duration of her suspension and hand over all Senate properties in her possession to the clerk of the National Assembly.
Wow.
5. That for the duration of her suspension, she cannot come or be seen within the vicinity of the National Assembly, including her staff.
Okay.
6. That her salaries and allowances, including those of her legislative aides, be suspended and withdraw of all security details for the duration of her suspension. And 7.
Including her security details.
That for the period of her suspension, she be barred from representing herself to the public, locally and internationally, as a Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Now what?
In conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my most distinguished and respected colleagues, on behalf of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct and Public Petition, we appreciate the Senate President and our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity granted us to serve Nigerians through the Committee of Ethics, Code of Conduct
It is well.
and Public Petitions, respectfully submitted for consideration and approval. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Okay.
Yes, Senate President, may I be given a chance to speak?
She said she wanted to. Well, I don't know who said that. I don't know who said
Prayer 1. That the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for 6 months for a total violation of the Senate Standing Rules 2023 as amended for bringing the presiding officer and the entire Nigerian Senate in general to public opprobrium. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay.
Not one person.
I put the question. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay.
Not one person.
How do you amend a prayer that is unanimous? Prayer 2, that for the Senate to consider lifting this suspension or reducing the tenure of the suspension, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan shall submit a written apology to the Senate before any reconsideration by the Nigerian Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye.
They don't agree to that one. So let's look at this matter critically. We have 109 senators in the 10th Senate. 109 people now sit down that place. Out of that 109, 36 of them are from PDP. 3 Cross carpet go APC. So as we stand, we have 33 people from PDP. Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is from PDP. 4 of them are women. Only she that from PDP. The other 31 are from Labour Party, 2 are for APC. Out of the 33 PDP members, okay, out of the 32 PDP members and the other 3 women, not one person supported her. Both Ireti Kingibe will be from Labour Party, we know they always agree with APC and the other APC lawmakers. Both the 33, the other 32 will be PDP. Both the senators from her state, not one supported her. Once everybody decides to go against you, then there is a problem. Let's tell ourselves the truth. The reason why some people are even supporting Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is because she's a woman. If now a male senator, now they tell say go sit down in that place, cause that problem that day, nobody go support her. Now because of that issue now, if you go outside the Senate yesterday, protesters they fight. Over sit down here. Now what it causes COVID that sit down here. Now, even the harassment case, Natasha no dey let us fit talk. We know they fit defend her. Because to be sincere, if you are a man, you know what Natasha did there. If you be a happening guy, woman will not threaten you that thing before. You know what she did there. They say sit down, you say you know sit down, the thing cause quarrel. Now that time you decide to say because you toast me, I no agree. If you are a kind man, that thing is supposed to happen to you before. You know what she did there. If Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has woken up one morning and sent out a petition against the Senate president saying the guy they harassed me, all of us will carry a matter for head now. But now because they quarrel over sitting arrangement and because that was why she remember say that the 2 star, it is a right move at the wrong time. So we now have cause to doubt her. It's quite painful and pathetic. Imagine a gospel like Bible now they preside over a case where okay, this very case not be this very case is a case of Natasha Akpoti not conducting herself properly in the Senate. When it comes to the case of harassment, I'm not sure gospel like Bible will be the one to preside over that case. So let's just be clear on that. If it's triumph, we go shop out with our mouth. Those of us because me people like me I don't matter get and no get power. We go very occupy the social media space with our go sleep where did I I will call my Benin brothers. To my brothers for Benin or the fly. I will call my Benin sister to go and attend to him in the night. We know he cannot try that.